Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to be continuing our great Qing run in Victoria 3. Last episode we got a lot done. We got on to interventionism, which is allowed us to kind of fast track a lot more construction. That's where a lot of the boost in our construction from 500 to 837 came from. We also annexed Brazil at the very end. This is a pretty significant one, and broke up the UK quite a bit, so they are weak without the the East India Company. We've also been looking to slow ball, kind of expand the market. You can see North South America, also notable is Persia and Spain are in the market, and so we are trying to expand that way. We can't bankroll anyone yet. We don't have the technology, but notably, we are benefiting enormously from our overstacked universities. We are getting an enormous amount from tech spread now. We are getting more from tech spread, I believe, if my math is correct. We're getting the exact same amount. That's cute. We're getting the exact same amount on average from tech spread. This range, 39 to 117, it rolls a random number, but we are getting just as much on average from tech spread as we are our active research, and so this means when we're active researching something, it'll go really fast. We are trying to catch up on tech, and so this is going to help out quite a bit. I think to that end, we might even increase our university even more. We are building it up tall in the capital specifically, and the reason for this is because in the capital, it will give additional clout to the people it's employing, which in this case is actually clerical educators, but it also includes academics, and so this will help to juice up the Intelligentsia long term. I think we're just going to go up to level 100 and call it a day here. Is that 100? That's not 100. That's 90. 90's fine. 90's, we're already pushing it with our expenses quite a bit, although the investment pool is draining, and so once we kind of finish out our queue, I think what we're going to do is we're going to let the investment pool take over this sort of thing. But yeah, we're just looking to small ball expand. We have 20 infamy, and so we don't want to do anything that takes too much infamy, but if I recall, our truce should be up with Zulu, so we'll just annex these boyos and be off on our way. As far as what we are doing to try and grow the customs union, we just released all these boyos, and we're going to improve our relation with a few of them, and the notable, like, kind of big ones. Ooh, Baroda got an upgrade, and so this will kind of help out, and we are going to look to invite others to the customs union. Also, last episode, we opened Siam's market for the purpose of being able to bring them into our market sometime down the line, and this down the line is here. We did a huge volume of trade with them. This changed their attitude towards us to make a big positive, and so we are going to come in here. We're going to owe them an obligation. It's not a big deal, and they're going to join the customs union. Now, we haven't progressed far enough, I think, for these guys to have an interest in their own region. Or let's check. Ooh, they do have interest in their own region. So what we will be doing is we will be doing a ton of trade routes with all these East India Company, countries. We will be looking specifically to import. Wow, the UI is not updating. That's kind of annoying. We will be specifically looking to import all the agricultural goods. Let's see if we can do this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then okay. And we are going to be importing all the agricultural stuff as much as possible from these boyos, as long as it's profitable, and maybe even if it's unprofitable. How unprofitable is this? That's pretty unprofitable, so let's not do that one, but like stuff like dyes should be crazy profitable, and this will allow all of our industries at home to become a lot more productive. But on top of that, what it's going to do is it's going to shape their attitude towards us to be much more positive, and this will allow, just like how we did with Siam, to pull them into our market in the long term, and so this is going to help out quite a bit. And this is going to be the thing. Now, I'm guessing what they need is luxuries and tools, because this is kind of usually how it goes. And so we are going to see, we already have super depressed price of silk as is. We are going to see about, we can definitely import liquor from them, because they have so many subsistence farms. This is where a lot of their stuff is coming from, is from the sub farms in there. And so this is kind of, there's like a lot of sub farms, a lot of plantations. And so this means that they're really going to need stuff like tools and finished goods. And so if we take a look, that place doesn't need tools, but we're probably just going to ship them the tools anyways, and this will encourage them to use various PMs like kind of in that direction, and we will ship them some steel. They notably just got ejected from the UK's market, so they are likely very much hurting for a lot of these finished goods, these types of things. We won't send them oil. They probably won't be able to use that. Yeah, let's go, baby. They have a lot of landowners, because a lot of landowner or pops that will consume a lot of luxuries because they have a lot of, the ownership of the subsistence farms, which is why the luxuries are really expensive, but the clothes not as expensive as we would like, or as we would like to be able to export to them. We're not going to be able to get too much export to them. I guess we could export iron, yeah, and so they will benefit a lot from iron. This will make our construction a little bit more expensive temporarily, but it's really not that big a deal in the long term, and they probably have no engines. Oh, looks like they're fine on engines. Maybe they're just not consuming a lot. Maybe they don't have a lot of railroads. I doubt we can export. Can we export sulfur? Sulfur is always a good export. The PM is extraordinarily efficient, so we will be doing that. Oh, I forgot. Scotland too. These guys as well are going to have issues, but we're going to put in all the trade routes with these guys off camera because these guys have gotten ejected from the market as well, and so we're going to try and make new friends and be able to pull new people into the customs union off doing, again, a huge volume of trade. So we are off and away, and we spent an absolute enormous amount of bureaucracy on all of these trade routes. We are spending 12K on institutions, we're spending 17K on this sort of thing, and we're spending a whopping 2K on trade routes, 138 trade routes, and so getting onto free trade will be pretty nice. We are currently researching egalitarianism, and it's really not going to yield us more money. It will be taxing in a more efficient way. We will prefer the way it's taxed, and I know I'm covering up the tooltip with my big fat face, but it says minus 75K, and so we will actually make less money on proportional taxation. And so while we kind of want to complete egalitarianism, because we're almost actually, let's actually deprioritize this and let's go mechanized workshops instead, because egalitarianism is just gnat spreading and we're not going to put it in immediately. Instead, what we're going to go for, because we're spending so much on this, is we're going to go for free trade and hope that the rural folk don't get too mad at us over us doing this. But free trade is going to be a big one because of the sheer volume of trade routes we're doing, and also it's just going to, it's going to help us out tremendously. We are doing so much trade. Just enormous amounts here, and we will also look to get new people into the customs union. We added a whole bunch of trade routes that weren't just Scotland and England, so if we take a look now, we can see a lot of them are still adjusting and still shaking out. I think we could just take a look at some of our biggest ones. We're exporting a ton of tools to Russia. We started importing wood from Russia and a bunch of other places, and hardwood and this sort of stuff, to long-term encourage them to build a lot of this stuff. And if we just take a look now, we might be able to. What is this war? What are we doing here? We're annexing Zulu? Okay, well, that makes sense. But we will just see how, as stuff has adjusted, Scotland is able to be just pulled in right now, just off of, the amount of trade we have put in. They generally also start with pretty good attitudes towards you, and so this will help out quite a bit. But the customs union grows, and it grows. This is all it does. We got some absolutely disgusting borders here, with Bavaria being a subject of France and Krakow being a subject of Great Britain. Things are not right. Things are not okay. This is just not a Europe that I want to live in. And we enforce on them. We will immediately go into Transvaal as well and just look to dominion these guys. We're going to double check. There's gold in these hills. So we will want to go after the gold, and we will just kind of look which one of these has the most gold fields, or an intersection of the most gold fields and other stuff. We see these guys have a good amount. We will just go for these guys straight away. We'll put a few guys into the front. I don't think we'll need too much. I think just a 13 stack and a 12 stack will be nice. Notably, a 13 stack's probably enough, but we put in at least 2 stacks kind of all the time, just to kind of account for front splitting, because this will be much better for us, kind of in terms of the way things are going. We also cut off the UK here, and so we are going to get a very nice run in terms of this. Why don't we just double check and see a third option? Can the Treasury bear it? That's really expensive. We don't mind we'll just double up right there, double bubble, and we can establish some colonies. We will establish there. That'll be fine, and we can also declare some interest, but I wanted to come in and see if we can pull anyone in the customs union. Now we can't, and it's because we don't have enough authority. So who are we improving relations with, and do we need to continue? We don't need to continue with Siam because we've managed to pull them into the customs union, and we don't need to continue with Japan because we already got them low enough. And so now, lo and behold, we can invite a couple more boyos to the customs union. That's the Sikh Empire in, and Ireland are in. And so the customs union continues to grow, and this is going to allow us to specialize a little bit better. We accepted the trade agreement. We really didn't need to, but now the customs union gets even bigger. And long term, what we're going to be trying to do with these guys, eventually we're going to start bankrolling these boyos, and we are going to try and get them to become our protectorates. Ooh, looks like Argentina will just straight up accept, so we will actually do that as well, by owing them an obligation. Which kind of does... Oop, we don't have an obligation. So if we hadn't given them an obligation, this would be easier, but we do have to wait until we can bankroll them, but then we can pull them into a protectorate, and once they're a protectorate, then we damage relations, and we look to just, like, annex them, and this is kind of the slow, steady expansion. We are at 19 infamy right now, so we do have a little bit of room to work with as we're going after Transvaal. And we are able to pull Baroda into the customs union as well now, which is a very large, kind of Indian company type province, and we will slowly begin to kind of wrap around and gain influence over this area. The market already looks really big, nice. We are, of course, going after Aranya. After this, we'll probably annex some of our smaller guys, like Brunei, especially the ones that have gold, like we know Brunei does have. And this will kind of be our strategy. And then I think what we will be doing is maybe looking to dominion the Netherlands. That way we get the Dutch East India Company under our thumb as well. We get a native uprising, kind of a lot of things coming in all at once here. This is the nature of Speed 5, of course, and so we will be putting down the minor interests. We are, of course, trying to still pass this. I think that, well, we want them to gain political strength anyways, but really kind of slow going on this free trade, but we're not in an especially big rush. We do want to kind of come off of in the near-ish future, we want to come off of monarchy and autocracy, but it's not really that big a rush. At this point in time, the legitimacy would be nice. This would allow us to get bonuses easier, because as you can see, we have a lot of radicalism, and if we could, be more legitimate, this would help out a whole lot on that front. But I don't know. It's not necessarily the most pressing thing. We also did get enough authority to increase our institution on our colonial affairs, which is partially why we're going to have a lot of uprisings, which is also part of why, kind of in the near-ish future, we will want to go pharmaceuticals into Quinine, because we are almost out of places we can colonize even, which is a bit wild, but China colonizes very, very quickly. This is starting to become a little bit of a concern. We are not on laissez-faire. If you're on laissez-faire, you can really just blast and cruise. We might have to do something about this. And that something might be swapping to laissez-faire as well, but it is going to be a little bit difficult to make that swap through the rural folk, who will not like that at all. Colonization of Colombia, or Kenya, does complete. That's not Colombia, it's Kenya. And so we will probably look to incorporate here, and then try and take the rest of it back from Great Britain. And now we get mechanized workshops, which is kind of what I was stalling for a little bit. This one is going to make a huge difference. We already have several government administrations at 31, expecting this to just pop up a little bit from the throughput bonus. There we go. But also, we have been building some of our stuff up to the queue, up to level 31, and so the throughput bonus is going to be really nice. It's also going to be really nice, on the universities, for example, because now instead of getting, a 20% bonus from economies of scale, we're getting a 31%. So independent of all the PMs, now this is going to make a huge difference. Like you can see here, here's one of our 31s, and we will continue to try and pull stuff up to 31, particularly the resource industries, because I don't think we've touched those very actively. Yeah, you can see they're not at 31, so we can just kind of come in here and 31 a whole bunch of them in order to bring them on up. This sort of thing, we will need a bunch of extra infrastructure on those. And then, of course, the PMs on this tech are also quite nice, because we will be getting quite a bit more furniture and quite a bit more clothes, which is going to be super cool, and it will bring up SOL, which will increase education access, from having a higher wealth level and this sort of thing. We're also going to turn on mechanized looms. You generally don't want to use too many labor-saving PMs in China, but the harvesting tools and mechanized looms are just so absurdly efficient, and they create demand for tools, which is something you want anyways, that it's just like too good not to pass up. So this sort of thing, but we're going to be keeping an eye on this. We might even be able to put in another consumption tax here, We might even be able to just tax liquor, come back down here, and that'll stem the bleeding for at least a little bit. Of course, generally we don't like taxing liquor because that does kind of tax the lower on pops a little bit. Yeah. We maybe want to swap onto a less efficient tax method just so that it is taxing more of the pops that we want to specifically be taxing, and this sort of thing. We, of course, do have to finish up this before we can do anything else regarding war, but that's kind of what's going on. Let's actually just take a quick look as well can we get anyone else in the customs union? No, but we are making, you know, a lot of progress. We could maybe... I think that the UK is never being our friend again. So we could do this, and then we could look to improve relations with these guys to kind of speed up the process by which we maybe incorporate them into our customs union. Hybridad's pretty big as well. Maybe we go after Sind this way. We could go after Sind kind of this faster way. And we could also just take a look who is willing to accept a protectorate. So now there's some willing to accept a protectorate, owing an obligation. This will give us 6 infamy, which is not big nice, but it is nice that we can do this. So let's take a look here, and so this will bring us up to 20, and so we will protectorate there, and we will also protectorate the Argentina's the T's protectorate. But let's just double check and see who would accept. Yeah, it's just Argentina, but getting Peru, Bolivia in that way is really nice because now they will be considered a subject. Scotland's calling in our obligation. Yeah. Dynam is calling an obligation for a defensive pact. It is unfortunate. It also is what it is. And so now we do need a bit more influence because we want to be able to damage relations with Peru, Bolivia. We actually might just come in. Let's see. Let's just stop improving relations with Orissa instead and go after them here. And so now when we go to dominion them, it will cost 25% of the infamy it otherwise would. If we take a look here, go into make dominion, it will only cost us 6 infamy to do this. Now we did pay the 6 to make them a protectorate, so it's going to end up costing us 12, which is, you know, if we didn't scuff it at the beginning, is about what we would have paid. But this is pretty nice because we will be paying a whole lot less for, you know, going after them here on that. And so that is super cool, and this is kind of what you get for the small ball expansion. It also just feels nice because you're just like making these market moves and this sort of thing to make this happen. It is unfortunate we have all these defensive pacts, but it also makes it hard to attack us because if, for example, you know, the UK attacks us, they would have to deal with Scotland as well as us. Well, us is enough, but just kind of as an example of what's going on. But we'll just continue along our merry way here. Just a little bit of an update on how the migration into China or from China is doing. Again, we took these new world states so that our unemployed pops can migrate. But look at this. A quarter of the pops in this state now are Han Chinese. Now, this is not the case in every state. You know, it's 13% here, 21%, but sizable amounts of, you know, pretty soon we're going to start overriding the most populous culture. In fact, even right here, we have Han coming in and now being the most populous state in Parana here, which is going to be, this is going to, like, let's just take a look at Parana. And so we see that a bunch of the pops in here are employed up. Now, there are some employed elsewhere, but a bunch of these pops are going to be, you know, peasants, and then there are some gainfully employed, and they're all largely coming from, you know, Han now in terms of what is most primary. There is still a lot of Brazilians here, but it is now most Han, which is going to kind of become the case in all of these New World states, which is going to be really nice. And notably, this is even better on China than it is on European countries, because they can't, for example, Venezuela, when we subjugate them, they can't sap off our pops because they don't accept our pops, and so we don't have to worry about losing Chinese pops to other countries, which is not the case for Europeans because Venezuelans will often accept European pops, and so this is kind of what's going on here. And so I think we're going to look to find another place somewhere. We also annexed Bahrain, which of course has a ton of oil in the long term. I guess we could go after Nejd too. Nejd as well. Austria may side with the enemy. That's really not too much of a concern. We aren't... Well, actually, let's see if we can protect her at anyone else. So let's kind of hit the button. It's just the T's still, but yeah, we'll find a war. But this is kind of like where things are going in terms of migration, because when these sub-farms are employed, this is so much better. It's probably just hard to underemphasize how much better this is than them just being completely unemployed, that they're employed as peasants, because not only are they happier, their SOL is higher, all these sorts of things, but like is versus literal nothing. And eventually we can move back to having some sort of social security, but not right now, because way too much unemployment. It will be very expensive if we do it now. So we're in the middle of going after Venezuela, which is going fine, and the UK starts a play against the Sikh Empire, and they start the play and then they're worried because the level of mobilization, because their army's not as strong as ours, which is always funny considering we had a defensive pact, and that this would be the case is readily transparent. Also, I'm really curious how the British Empire plans on getting to the Sikh Empire in order to enforce on them. I really don't know. This is going to be interesting to see how this goes. We might just leave this. Oh, it looks like, yeah, no, they can't go through Kalat. So, I guess their plan is to march through all of China into the Sikh Empire. A bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out for them. It looks like Russia's joined the mix for Transfer Columbia District, which I think is, nope, that's not Columbia District. Where is Columbia District? What are they even asking for? Well, okay, Russia's asking for this now as part of joining, and I believe that's a primary war goal, and I think it's fairly likely that we see a back down from the UK. This seems suicidal on behalf of the UK. I don't know why. Yeah, now we're just uncertain. Yeah, that seems like a bit of a problem. Gwalior was a bit of a holdout for joining the customs union, but they have also joined the Sikh Empire, and so now we can invite them to the customs union using an obligation. So our customs union's growing, which is big nice, of course, for us, but not for, yeah, and then we also get this revolution, this secession. Kind of a lot going on right now, but we should be able to put it down without too much difficulty. We're just going to move, you know, some of these stacks on over, some of these smaller stacks. I don't think we'll need too much. Looks like there's a lot of British guys here, actually. We might need quite a bit. We'll move guys around to fronts. This will be a little bit of a messy war. I mean, I'm thinking the UK backs down here. But I guess maybe there's not enough war goals on them that are non-primary, so they're kind of incentivized to just fight it out anyways. Once we get free trade, that'll also be super big nice. We might get enough, that might stimulate the economy enough for us to go up to 1K construction, something like this. I'm kind of curious to see how that shakes out. I think we're going to start moving guys over to deal with this Brazilian thing, though. I don't think we'll need too many guys, if my recollection of their, like, level of strength is correct. That guy is, we'll just move this guy over. Eventually everyone gets moved over anyways, but we just want to make sure that there's someone there on the start. And Central Archives is also going to be huge. This one's really, really nice because off the bat it gives taxation capacity. So we are now making like 50k more just off of this being researched without turning on the PMs. But when we turn on the PMs, that is going to do a ton in terms of, oop, this is not even the right spot, a ton in terms of, well, it's going to be very expensive on this, but you see plus 41k bureaucracy from plus, so we're going to be getting 10k more bureaucracy here, and this will be a little bit expensive, but it's not going to be as expensive as, well, it is going to be as expensive as it looks, right? I'm pretty sure we have to wait for that to adjust, and the war does go through, but this will allow us to, you know, up our institutions a little bit. I think we're going to go for 2 more levels on education to just really try and pull the literacy rate up to try and get the trade unionists politically active in the long term. I don't think we can wait to try and get, you know, I don't think we can afford to wait to the point where we can go onto the schools, better like schooling system. We're in religious schools right now. We would prefer either private or public schools. It looks like the trade unionists do like the public schools, and nobody cares if we don't go on to public schools, and so this will be kind of long-term what we want to do. These guys are super happy with us right now. We're floating so much bureaucracy, so we're also going to come in and, of course, do this. Not that... Yeah, we're going to have to turn some of this down one piece at a time. That's unfortunate. Spain's calling in a favor, which is also unfortunate. Yeah, a little bit more than we could chew. We are going to have to turn some of this down. Oh, you know what? It's just because of the paper shortage. It's not as bad as it looks. We're going to turn some of them down, but this is really not as bad as it looks, just because it's caused an enormous shortage. Yeah, so we are on filing cabinets, and a few... I suppose the 20 ones are actually the ones we would rather turn down. I didn't realize it consumed that much more paper. That's insane, that it consumes, like... What is this? Double the paper? So yeah, of course that's going to cause a shortage, and so let's look about resolving that and then getting it all on, because we do want to turn up our institutions. It is expensive, but it's really not this expensive. So this one's going up to 31, and so we will give this one also up to 31. Oh, we do want these at the front of the queue. And so we put some in the back of the queue. We're going to bring those on up to the front in Sichuan. And so I'm not sure that'll resolve it directly, or that'll be enough, but the auto queue will also start producing paper in this sort of thing. Now, we do have this big war with the UK, but this is unwinnable for them. They can't actually push into the Sikh Empire without pushing through us, and we would just capitulate because there's no war goals on us. We're not going to capitulate now. We're going to slap them around a little bit, but then we might be capitulating because there's nothing on us to be enforced. Oh, just kidding. There's a ton of stuff on us to be enforced. Transfer Transvaal, transfer Chile, transfer Brunei, so we can't just capitulate. I lied. But I don't think they're going to be able to, do anything about this. We will actually make sure we return someone to the South China HQ. Preferably someone from over here. Let's see. Where are you from? You're from the Manchuria HQ. Why don't we move you over here? And then someone from here. Are you from the South China? No, you're from North China. Where is someone from the South China HQ? You are from the South China HQ, but you're currently advancing. You're over here. Where is everybody? Alright, you are in the North China HQ. You are from the South China HQ. Now, where are you currently located? You're in the Guyana-Panama front. So you're headed this way, but you're not here yet. We are going to have him stand by because we do want to make sure we don't get landed and like pushed on too fast, and so we're going to move some guys over back here. Yeah, we are running... How much is this saying for government wages? No. Let's see. Goods, yeah, so the goods just spiked out of control off the paper. We're spending 800k on paper. So yeah, that is a lot of paper, but that's a lot of bureaucracy as well. Also, this will make us construct faster. Now, it's not a huge bonus, but it's not nothing. If we weren't lazy, we would turn down an enormous amount of these to try and optimize, but we are like going to be using them anyway. Well, actually, no, we should turn down a bunch. Alright, we're going to turn down a bunch that aren't level 31 or whatever. Or we're going to just turn down a bunch of these and have yet less bureaucracy. So we're in a bit of a weird spot here, because we want to go technocracy. But if we go technocracy, this will radicalize the landowners, and there's actually no way for us to pass a law without the landowners being in government, at least until we pass technocracy. The problem is if we go landed voting... no one will support movement to technocracy. And so what I think we can do is we can go oligarchy into technocracy, and this will also decay some of the disapproval from the scholar officials anyways. So I think we're going to do this, because if I'm not mistaken, the Intelligentsia specifically do support technocracy over... oligarchy. So they oppose oligarchy and they're neutral towards technocracy, so we can use the literati afterwards to swap from oligarchy to technocracy. So we're going to go for oligarchy here. As far as the war with the UK is going, it's going... I mean, it's going. There's, like, really nothing to be done except for just defend until they want to wipe peace out, because they do have a bunch of war goals on us. We are not in charge of the war, or nor were we ever. So there wasn't a way for us to, like, take stuff out from them. We also notably finished up our chemical plants, which aren't employing anyone right now, or there isn't too much fertilizer usage. But we did that because we're about to put in an enormous amount of fertilizer usage here, which is going to create a whole bunch more grain that will cause a shortage. So let's not do that one. Let's do the millet here, and we're going to do the rye farms here. I guess maybe we could do intensive grazing. Intensive grazing does also make... more fabric. So we've been experimenting with like not doing this PM just so that we can get the boom industries more efficient, but why don't we just try doing this and swapping everything to soil-enriched farming. I'm not sure exactly. We're going to try the old way again and see if we do have problems being able to produce enough explosives, because this is kind of what simple ranching solved. And so this is a little experimental relative to how we've been doing a lot of our runs recently. Looks like we are getting pushed in some spot. We have some allies traveling. We get skirmish infantry. We're not going to turn that on yet. I don't think we have percussion caps, so we can't even make ammo. Kind of would love for that to not spread to us. We're also spreading a ton. We did increase the university to level 100, or we are in the process of getting the rest of the way there, which is going to be really producing an enormous amount of innovation. It's, 60% efficient because it's mainly going into tech spread here, but this is going to be okay. The education access institution coming on up is going to make a big difference, and we see we are out of bureaucracy again, and so all we have to do is we have to come into one of these and switch it. I said we have to come into one of these and just swap it back to this, and this is what we will continue to do, is we will just swap one up whenever we run into a problem, and this will be a little bit more efficient. It'll also be slower, a bit more steady. That's not ideal, but I guess they're just going to win that. So yeah, I mean, we're just kind of waiting for the UK to be like, okay, we were just kidding. We never meant any of it. We know we can't win this. I suppose what we could do, actually, to make them enforce on them faster is actually land their capital. Okay, that's what we're going to do. We're going to land their capital and enforce on them faster. What the hell, man? I have no idea why the Sikh Empire capitulated here. I have absolutely no idea why they did this. They weren't occupied at all. Warfare in here is stupid. UK had no way to even remotely get to them. They were in our customs union. Very, 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 very frustrating. Like, this makes zero sense. This capitulation here. Like, why would you capitulate? Why? So we just got tied up in a do-nothing war to not get stuff taken from us, because we would have rather been out of here. We couldn't put any because we weren't the primary negotiator. And on top of all this, the UK gets the war goal anyways, the primary war goal. I mean, we're going to transfer the Columbia district to Russia, so at least that's okay. I mean, UK is almost completely occupied here. So, like, I don't know why they were willing to concede to this, because they were not occupied at all. Like, there's no way they were ticked below 0, so they just capitulated because why? I have no idea. This is very annoying. But, I mean, we're going to capitulate them. We're going to make them capitulate right here. I mean, like, right now. And they're just going to give up, like... God, and we're not even the war leader now. It's Gwalior is now the war leader, which... so we can't negotiate for ourselves, because I'm sure we would be... UK would be more than willing to white peace us out specifically. I'm okay with a white peace. Okay, so they're transferring Oregon here. And, the USA is just out. And so they were in our customs union. This is so aggravating. Now they have 0 market access too, but like they were firmly in the customs union. We like so annoying, so frustrating. Maybe that'll be that's it for this run, perhaps. I mean, I kind of wanted to go up to 1,000 construction, but we could just crank that up, like, pretty easily from here. I guess we could see what this tick of oligarchy is, but... I guess we'll, like, I don't even know what to say here. It, like... literally makes 0 sense. They were in no danger. There was not a single boot that was laid down in their territory, and so now we have to free them from Great Britain in order to re-invite them, like this sort of thing, and it's just like super obnoxious. Like, can we protectorate any boyos? No, we just have a bunch. Oh, because we have negative influence, so we need to rival someone or something. God. I think we're probably not gonna... we need a little bit more juice. Unfortunate. Austria is not gonna have a ton of stuff, and so now we could try and see who we could protectorate. It's still just the T's of Argentina only. That's fine. Man, I don't even know what to say. God. It's just like... There's no reason to capitulate there. There's no reason to capitulate there. For them. They're just softly nestled in our bosom. And then they just give up the bag. I don't know. At the very least, if this is not the end of the run, this is the end of the episode. Just kind of making money moves, expanding the market, and then getting this thrown in our face. You know, I mean, I suppose it's not catastrophic, and maybe we should just keep playing the run, but man, I'm super annoyed right now. Because as far as, like, we have a defensive pact, so we don't get control of the war, and then they give up the bag, and then we have to fight this war so that we don't get stuff enforced on us, so we have to fight a nothing burger of a war, at least nothing burger from our perspective. I mean, we had a bunch of infamy, so it's really not the biggest deal, but, like, now we have to, like, I guess we're probably dominioning these, oh, well, we can't dominion these guys, but, like, I don't even know. I'm sure there's, like, some useful war. We also have a truce with them, so, like, I guess we'll be releasing the Sikh Empire somewhere down the line. Yeah, form a defensive pact. Ha ha ha. Very funny. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Making Money Moves. If you did, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and have a good day. Have a better day than the Sikh Empire who decided to give up the bag. Have a better day than them.